Good morning, Sociology class. As with most lessons, we're going to start with the bellwork question today. Why do people follow the rules? In today's lesson, we're going to look at the word conformity. We're going to find out what it means. We're going to identify ways people conform to society, and we'll discuss the implications of conforming and not conforming. So what is conformity? George R.R. Martin is quoted in saying, "The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives." In other words, a person by themselves is weak and will often die out or struggle in life. But when they're in a pack or a family or a group, they'll tend to thrive. The idea that animals in history, and people even, who combined into groups would often live, whereas the individual would die off or be severely weaker than others. Webster Dictionary defines conformity as similarity in form or character, or agreement. It is the action or behavior in correspondence with social accepted standards, conventions, rules, or laws. Think about what you do on a day-to-day basis. When you go to school, do you conform to school? Do you sit in a desk? Do you follow what your teacher says? When you go to a store, do you knock things off the shelves, or do you take one thing at a time, put it in your basket? That's what conforming is. And why do people do it? The essence of conformity is yielding to group pressure. So why do people conform? There are two major reasons. One, they probably want to fit in with the group. Anyone who stands out doesn't fit in, and that could feel a little awkward. This is called normative influence. Another reason people conform is because they believe the group is better informed than they are. So anytime you don't know something, you'll seek out answers. Today we have phones and the internet to look things up, but other times we'd have to ask somebody for information, or get it from a book. So one example of conformity. Jillian and Fran often talk about how much they hate some at lunch. And Luke will often hear them and say, "Oh, I hate lunch. I hate some at lunch too. It's terrible." But Luke really likes some at lunch. He just agrees that he hates the lunch too, because he wants to conform. There are 6 types of conformity. Normative, which is succumbing to group pressure. Informational, which is when a person lacks knowledge. These are the 2 we talked about. Compliance, which is when you publicly change your behavior in order to fit in with a group, and you might not agree, such as the Luke example. Internalization is when you publicly change behavior to fit in with the group, but you'll also agree with them privately. Ingratiation is when a person conforms to impress or gain favor or acceptance from the group. Finally, identification is when you conform to the expectations of a social role. For example, if all of a sudden you were told you're a police officer, you might act like one. You might act a little like tough or above others. Or if you're given a leadership role, you might start giving people orders. There are cultural differences of conformity. In Western society, which is what we live in, the United States, even Europe, we're more known for individualism. We do not easily succumb to social pressures. Therefore, we're less likely to conform. We value independence here in America. In Eastern society, countries like China or India, their culture is based on groups and community. They're known as collectivist cultures, and people living in these societies are more likely to conform. So, what is an example of people conforming to societal norms? Do you tend to conform to society? And what pressures do people face when they don't conform to expectations?